What's going on? It's
What's
Casey
the
Mitchell with Herbstrong, and we got Charity Witt here in LA. What's going on?
What's up, guys?
Oh, man. How's your day so far?
I mean, other than waiting on you, it's been pretty
I
good.
would like to apologize for that. Sometimes LA traffic, when it's a 2-hour drive for me, can turn into 4 hours
I get it.
with in seconds, which is what happened. Because my
Mhm.
GPS was looking great all the way through, and then
You hit that one spot.
bam, good old LA will come and haunt you real quick. So I was sitting in traffic posting. I was at a
Great
standstill.
post. Great
I was at a
post.
standstill. But the Hellcat just was not able to move fast enough to get here on time. So, but we made it, and we're
We
here.
made it.
You took a plane, I took a car.
True.
You know.
True. It was a long plane too.
So, for those of you guys that don't know, Charity is a strong woman competitor, but better known from the champion of the NBC Titan Games, hosted by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Like, that's some athletic shit, which we'll get into being an athlete here in a minute. Okay.
Definition of an
So,
athlete.
I mean, that's where, like, I remember watching you before I actually even knew who you were. I remember seeing you on TV compete there, and I was like, epic shit. I mean, you were a fucking beast. How was that?
It was hard. It was hard. And I really didn't feel like an athlete when I was competing there because, I was by far the thickest female on that show.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that was good, though, because it showed that it's not about that. It's about, your grit, but also it's a different type of being an athlete, right?
Yeah.
It's not always translate onto paper or aesthetically, but it showed that what I was capable of just from a decade of strength training.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of events and stages in that where there's strength was serious,
Key.
but
Yeah.
a lot of grit came into play with a lot of that stuff too. And I think the good thing about, like, I think with your past being like a strong woman competitor, that kind of played a really good part into that. But like you said, you were like the thickest, biggest
I know.
female.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, there was a lot of times where people probably didn't think that you were going to be able to outlast these like very high-end endurance style athletes. Yeah.
Oh no, there's definitely, even while obviously when it aired, it was several months after the fact. So, but knowing the outcome and then hearing the commentary of just like, oh well, she's out of shape, she's not gonna last. Yeah, she's strong, but she's not gonna be able to go against so and so, and and being able to like see that, it was just like, okay. But even while I was filming though, like there was definitely some commentary like that going around, and it really taught me that, like, regardless of like what the chatter is, whatever else, I think that's where being a strong woman competitor came into play, because it's like you just gotta go dark,
Right. Yeah.
and like literally before each competition, because I had no idea what to expect, I would isolate myself, just my music, and go internal and not talk to anybody, not think about anything, and like I would visualize the obstacle courses before doing it and like run through it a million times in my head before I got there.
Yeah.
And in Strong Woman, it's not, I think the best advice I've ever received was that it's not about who's the better athlete, it's about who makes the fewest mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, okay, if I can like translate that onto here and like, just mentally run through this a million times, I won't feel nervous when I get to it.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened. Like as soon as that gunshot went off, I was just going through the motions. Like I wasn't even nervous.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I don't know if people know this, but strong man, strong woman is a very endurance-based sport.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you look at some of these guys, are Eddie Hall, 400 pounds, Brian Shaw, 400 pounds, Nick,
I know Nick, yeah.
Nick, he's here, he's up in the threes, high threes, fours, So, and these guys will hold weight and run circles around, they may lift a lot more weight than you, but if you, let's say, average a weight that you could lift and move it at the same time, that they're going to run circles around you because of the amount of endurance they have at 400 pounds, is incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, I mean, for people to sit there and kind of doubt, maybe they didn't know your background, maybe they did, and maybe they're just not educated on strong man, strong woman athletes, to understand that, like, you guys are pretty conditioned in a different way.
In a different way,
in a different way. Are you marathon runners? No. but you can move weight from point A to point B in a
it's that interval, you know. It's
Exactly.
just like being able to like go through high intensity interval training and survive and do
Right.
it efficiently and effectively.
Yeah. And I love how you said, we're talking there, like how you used to run things like through your brain before you get ready to compete. And as soon as you heard that gunshot go off, it was just like game on. Like you already knew.
Yeah.
And you were,
Yeah.
it's like you've already done it 1,000 times. And I'm a firm believer in that because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what I did in the military, for example, is
Right.
continue to train and put yourself in situations. And when gunfire goes off, it's not like, oh shit, and get scared. It's like, oh, I've already ran through this
Mm-hmm.
so many times. Now it's just kill mode time. And that's kind of where you were at. It's just like gunshot off, kill mode time.
It's really, it's hard to like describe if unless you've competed, but it's like, you know, the real stress and anxiety is before you get there,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Mhm.
like, cause you can't do anything at that moment. So it's just a ball of stress, right? But it's like, I would just replay the scenario in my head a million times. And so by the time I got there, like, it was a matter of like, okay, let's just do.
Let's
There's
just do it.
no other option but do. It's not try. It's not maybe. Well, it's not we'll see. It's
Mhm.
like, it's just do. That's your only option.
Right.
You know, like you turn off how it feels. You turn off, you know, your fears. Like you don't think, you just do.
Right. So during that whole event, which event did you feel was the hardest event for you?
I'd say the first one, just because it was the first challenge and it was like the introduction of like, okay,
Mhm.
this is how it's going to
Mhm.
be. And I wasn't sure how hard it was actually going to be. And I think doing heavy metal, which was actually rated one of their hardest challenges, and that was my first one.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, doing the same weights that the men are doing and all of that other jazz, you know, I was up there and it was just like, I remember being at the top racing to get it, you know, wheeled up, and it was like, okay, this is how it's going to be. And it just like clicked, like, this is what I have to mentally prepare for. So I think that was the hardest because I just had no idea what to expect. But it's
Right.
like, once I had gone through that, I based everything on that one. And it was like, it was good going from there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like seen a lot of people. There's a lot of people that I know that went on there and competed
Mhm.
and things like that. You know, there's a guy, I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head, but you know, he was like missing an arm. And then I had a lot of people like,
Oh,
"Dude,
yeah,
you should try this." And, you know, no, I'm good over here where I'm at, you know, like, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's intense. And I know I am a competitor and I do like that kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool to see it go down. I guess they're going to talk about having another one.
Yeah, they're
Hopefully
they're
they'll do
filming
something with
another
you.
one.
Uh-huh.
They're casting for it right now. I already know a few people that have been called back, so I think
That's
it'll
awesome.
be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to have the reigning champion back at all? Do we know anything?
I don't know anything. You know,
Nothing
I
yet?
get asked all the time, but it's like, you know, if they decide to call me back, I am more than capable and prepared to defend my
Right. Yeah,
title.
you're looking really lean right now, like solid.
I would say I'm in a lot better shape than
Yeah,
I was a
yeah.
year ago. So it's like if I get called back, I'm more than happy to defend my
To go
title.
shit on
Yeah.
everybody,
Oh,
they're trying to say.
absolutely.
That's what I'm talking. let's
In the
just
most
be
humble
blunt.
way
Yeah,
possible.
I'm fucking gonna come whoop your
Absolutely.
asses. Yeah, let's just be real quick, because I mean, you're in crazy shape right now. And I mean, to think about like then, you know, where you were in shape, don't get me wrong, but you were a different type of shape.
I'll say it was different, honestly, because it came at a time where, honestly, my self-esteem was my lowest because I had just decided to retire from Strongwoman because of heart problems, right? And then I was trying to balance, like, how to train without stressing my heart out. I had put on weight. I was at my heaviest I'd ever been. So, you know, like, there was just a lot of mental things
Right.
going against me, and I wasn't training effectively, right?
Right.
So it was like, okay, like, just mentally, I was not where I needed to be, or physically. And so when I came back, it was funny because, like, you know, regardless of knowing I had won, I came back and was like, I need to do this, this, and this differently. And, like, it was just like something clicked. So, like,
Yeah.
the past year, I've just really been training my ass off to be the
Right.
best athlete I possibly
Just
can
all
be.
around athlete.
Yeah, all around,
Yeah.
like strength, endurance. Like, I want to be able, like, regardless of what's thrown at me, I want to be able to conquer it.
Right. So you said that you were having all these, like, you know, these heart problems and everything like this prior to the Titan game. So, like, when you got this call for an interview or to come, like, try out for the Titan games, did any of that, like, run through your head? Like, oh, like, you know, I'm not in shape right now.
Yeah.
I'm, like, trying to battle these heart problems and not to stress your heart out in the Titan games. Well, that's a
It's
whole
very stressful.
bunch of fucking stress. You know what I mean? Because you're not just,
yeah.
like, going to go, like, do some lifting. You're going to go fucking compete against people.
Top level athletes.
Yeah, and it's gonna be televised, and You know, so like, you know, did all that play a part? Were you like, was there a chance, was there a possibility at the point you were second guessing on like doing it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, honestly, I think I was just constantly in a state of surprisal and allowance because it's like, I mean, if this is for me, it'll be here for me. But it was like, it was good for me because it put me so much far out of my comfort zone that I had to be in a state of allowance of like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. And I'll just handle whatever comes as it comes. Because I remember doing the combine and I have no previous experience being a runner. Like, clearly, you can look at me and see that I am not a long distance runner. And one of the challenges for the combine, I mean, after doing 7 different obstacles and whatnot, maxing out our deadlifts, we had to do like an AMA, which is essentially you run till you can't run anymore.
Okay.
And
I'm good with that.
And as you increase speed too. So you're increasing speed and you're running until you can't run anymore. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Like, I've just done all of this stuff today. I've just maxed out my deadlift and you're gonna put the running at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do here, girl? You know? And I remember like there was a former NFL player on our team, there was an Olympian, there was this track and field athlete, high volt jumpers. I'm just like, and then there's me. Yeah. And I'm like, mentally, I'm like, okay, I set a number in my head. It's like, okay, I have to make it to this number. And I did. And I just remember like literally almost blacking out to make it to that number because I told myself I would make it to that number. Yeah. And when I got done with that, it's like, you know, allowing my heart rate to come down, hitting my inhaler, you know, I was like, this is how it's going to be. I remember going home broken, like so sore. And it's like, oh my gosh, like how am I ever going to survive Titan Games? You know, and when I got the call back a month later, it was like, well, I have no idea what to expect, but I'm assuming it's going to be like that. And there's really no way to train for that. You know, like I'd never trained for everything before. Right. You know, it was so linear in powerlifting or Strongwoman. You know your events and you prepare for those specific events. Like with Titan Games, it taught me to expect the unexpected and to be prepared for anything.
Right. Well, I mean, the reason you do like the things, you're a fucking athlete. That's just period. You have like a very strong like mentality, you know, and I feel like that's how I am as well. Like I'm not, you know, the best athlete by any fucking means. You know, I'm like that guy that has to really work, you know, to become a really good athlete. You know, it's not, I don't have that genetic sensation.
But see, that's the mental grit though. And I think that's like,
Absolutely.
I think discipline will always trump talent, especially if you're lazy. Like if you're a lazy, talented person, you're not going to go as far as somebody who's disciplined.
Well, I mean, you see this all the time in the world with boxing or MMA or powerlifting or strongman, you know, you see who kind of gets lackadaisical. You know, let's say, for example, like the Andy Reese-Joshua fight that just happened. Reese won the title, first Hispanic to ever win the whole championships, right? Beats Joshua, who, if you look at him, freak athlete. I mean, this guy's a specimen, right? Yeah. Beats him. Yeah. Then they go to have their second fight, and Andy just completely, you know, the first fight, you could tell that Andy really worked to beat that athlete. He's, as far as athleticism, he's not better than Joshua as an athlete, but he worked harder than Joshua, I think. Then you come in and he goes to defend his title, and Andy Reese partied for the last 3 months. And that athlete got his foot in his mouth from the first time. It's like, oh, now I'm going to work. And when you get a guy who's genetically that good, and then he gives that dedication, that work, those are scary fucking individuals, you know? Right. And then he beat him, you know, and he beat him. And that's what happens, you know, is that mental state of like discipline and the grit and everything like that. You know, it's so funny because I was literally talking about a story. Somebody was asking me on the phone about like how I am the way that I am, you know, and we were just like in this whole conversation, and I really, it derived from when I was like a child with my dad. And, you know, you have me, I'm a wrestler in high school, and then I have my brother, and my brother is genetically like a fucking great wrestler. Like this kid could have been something special. I mean, my brother used to wrestle Chad Mendez, who's in the UFC now. Okay. We're from the same area. My brother used to beat Chad, and Chad beat him. They go back and forth. And I sit back, and now I'm like, damn, Chad's like in the UFC killing this whole thing. And my brother, well, I'll get to that whole story right now, is like, he was just a great genetically gifted wrestler and athlete. Then there's me, who is not genetically a great gifted wrestler, but really loved it and was very dedicated, had grit, dedication, and everything like that. But I was willing to work to be a great athlete. So this one morning, I'll never forget it. I was just literally talking about this morning. This one morning, my dad would get us up every morning to go run to school. The run was about just 9 miles. We'd run every morning. My dad would follow us from my house to my high school, 9 miles, and would follow us in this old 1990 something. I'm older, guys, so it's not like my dad owns it now, but in the 90s, back then it was new.
Yeah.
But he would follow us in this 1990 something like gray Dodge Intrepid. And he'd have the windows rolled down. We'd be in our hoodies. It'd be cold as shit. He'd have the windows down. He'd have a hoodie on and music blaring so we could run to music. And he would keep us at a certain speed. And if the speed we slowed down, the car would like bump us. Well, during that morning we were running. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my brother just fucking stops. Just stops. And turns around and goes, I'm done. I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, come on. I'm trying to motivate him. Like, come on, man, And he never... he was done. My dad got out of the car. My dad says, look, if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to force you to do it. If you get in that car, it's going to be the last time that I try to push you. I'm not going to push this on you. It's either you want or you don't. Brother got in the car and never wrestled again. I kept going,
Yeah.
And leading into that led to this tournament that's called the Lemoore Bash. And at the Lemoore Bash, this is a tournament that I have wanted to place in so badly, like my whole high school wrestling career. It's just one of the elite ones. And so I'm going into this tournament probably in the best condition of my entire life. I have trained and worked so hard to be there. And so my first match, I go out there and I win. My second match, I end up drawing the number 3 wrestler in the state of California. And I was like, fuck, like this guy, this guy's good. He's number 3 in the state for a reason,
Yeah.
So we end up wrestling. And by going into the second round, this guy's beating me 12-0. And in wrestling, if a guy beats you by 15 points, you get teched and the match is over. So we go into the second round. My dad and all them are yelling at me, hey, he's getting gassed. Just keep wrestling. So I saw him. He's standing. His heads are over his head. I'm chilling. I'm in great shape. And we go into the second round. And at the end of the second round, it's now 12-7. He didn't score another point on me, but I scored 7 on him. By this time, he's on the third and going in the third round. He's over in his corner with his coach, and he's laying flat on his back, struggling to breathe. He's so gassed out. So we go into the third round, and I'm like pumped. Like I'm like, I got this fucker because he hasn't been training.
Yeah.
So long story short, I end up losing. Right? I end up losing 12-11 to the number 3 guy in the state.
But I'm sure that just lit that fire. Though.
And he came over and it lit him up too, because he knew that how much better of a wrestler he was than me, and he was better, but he was tired. So I end up losing that one, getting dropped down to consolation, going into consolation, winning my next match, and then coming up against the number 5 guy in the state. Okay, the number 5 guy in the state got beat by the second ranked guy in the state that I had went full 3 rounds with. Well, the guy in the second beat the 5th guy in the first round with a pin. So I'm like, well, I went way more distance with that guy than you did. So me and this guy end up wrestling, and we went all 3 rounds, and into the 3rd round, I came back to beat him and beat the number 5 guy in the state to eventually place in the biggest tournament ever in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it was all off sheer just dedication. The athletes were there.
Conditioning.
Yeah, the fucking athletes were there. They didn't have that determination, the discipline, and the grit that I had, because I wanted it more than them.
Yeah,
I wanted to place more than them in that tournament. To them, it was just another tournament. To me, it was something that I really fucking wanted, And it just bugs me now, because now here I am living my life, doing what it is that I'm doing, bounce back from my recovery, competing in powerlifting, doing things. And I'm a firm believer that we become, as little kids, that kind of molds us into who we are as adults.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for me, my life started there. And then you have my brother, who I love very much, but my brother to this day is not successful. He quits a lot of things. He has a problem with discipline. He has no structure, no nothing. And I
the choir here.
and I always look back, and I'm like, God damn it. Like if you would have just kept fucking running. So you guys take that and just fucking keep fucking running, man.
Oh yeah.
Just in a sense.
And it sucks, but
it sucks, but in life, just keep fucking running, because the most dedicated, disciplined, and grittiest motherfuckers are the real monsters and athletes out there than the guys that are just gifted. There's so much gifted talent out there that just goes to shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Ricky Williams, one of the best fucking running backs. Honestly, could have been one of the best. Gave up football because he wanted to smoke weed. I mean, get the fuck. I mean, that's raw talent that is gone.
Gone.
Because over something stupid. No discipline.
But you can't teach mindset, right?
No.
You know, and I think if anything, like I've tried to instill that in my sister because it's like, you know, she didn't have things handed to her either. Like neither of us did, right? And it was just like I did not want to see her give up like I saw a few other people in my life give up, you know? And it was just like, do not be like them, you know? And it's like, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm just kind of like the rebel because I'm just like, no, like, I don't care how many closed doors there. I don't care how much opposition is. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get this because I want it. I don't need another reason.
Right.
I don't need another reason other than I want to do this. So I'm going to do it.
And that's just that mentality. I mean, some of us, you know, like you're training, you're always training for something. You're doing something, you know, and that's just the way we are. And it's like, there's not a lot of people that will continue to train or do their things for their whole life. Like when I decided I wanted to start powerlifting, it was, you know, I saw Brandon Allen. That's who I saw, the very first powerlifter that I really watched. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is what I want to do. You know, this is badass. And then here's the discipline part and the grit and the dedication part that I feel like I said was instilled in me at a young age is that I trained for a whole fucking year. 1 year before I actually got to like step on the platform and compete because it took that long for me to train, to learn how to do it all. 1 year for maybe 3 minutes of like doing some shit.
It's funny you said that because it was literally the same scenario for me. Like I was already a U.S. master swimmer, right? Like I'd never gotten less than third place before in a tournament, right? And it's just like, and then I got into powerlifting. I trained for over a year before I stepped on a platform because I, as an athlete and as a person that's like a perfectionist as well and works hard, I was like, I'm not going to step up there and do something that I'm going to be embarrassed of or regret later.
Yeah, you're
like,
just not ready. You know when you're ready.
I want to know that when I get up there, what I'm pulling and what I'm
you already
doing.
Knew what you wanted. Yeah. Like when you started, you're like, okay, I want to pull these numbers. I want to be near here. I want to be this strong. And you train until you were there. You know, me, it was same. It just took me a long time to learn how to squat. But even when I started to learn how to squat, you know, my first squat when I finally did was 135 pounds. I'm not trying to go up there and do 135 pounds because when I went up there, it was for me. It was a approval point. But it's like I wanted people to see me do some shit that they haven't seen nobody do.
Right.
You know, so
no,
it was
like
a lot.
You literally started like a whole thing of like, you know, like what are your excuses?
Right. That's the whole point. That was my whole thing behind that. Is like I wanted everybody to sit there and be like,
well,
Jesus
what's
Christ.
my excuse? Yeah. Like re-contemplate things.
And I love it. You know, I do get it a lot on social media and stuff like that. Like I'll post something and then they're like, fuck, I can't even complain about my fucking back hurting or something now. And no, you fucking can't because my whole body hurts. You know what I mean?
All the time.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay, you know, and it's that, you know, it's like you said, it's just that mental part. But unless you like can welcome the pain of like everything, even the athletes.
You have to be a masochist.
You have to. Absolutely. And I feel like that's why not everybody in the world are like epic athletes or whatever, elite athletes, because they're not all like that. They're not all like, I like this shit. Like I like the pain. You know,
you gotta be a little bit borderline insane.
Yeah.
And I say that
in
the best way because
yeah.
it's just like when you start associating pain with progress, it becomes an addiction. And it's like, and if I am not in pain, if I am not stressed, if I'm not uncomfortable, I'm not happy.
Right.
And I apply that to every part of my life now that it's like success in every region of my life becomes
but it's
an
good
addiction.
stress. But it's good stress
because you associate the stress with progress, and it's like and it's like stress doesn't really stress you out anymore.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh no, this is good. This means I'm growing. This means I'm getting better.
Yeah, and that's and there's just not a lot of people.
No,
we're a little
very few.
We're a little bit out there. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know. Like I said, it's just, I've always been like that where like I am one of those true believers that, you know, hard work does beat genetics any day of the week now. But if that genetic person is a hard worker, you're fucked. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, you see that in bodybuilding, you know? And it's like, you know, if someone's got that frame genetically and then they apply themselves on top of that.
You're fucked. Everybody's fucked. That's, I mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one thing why I like powerlifting because it's not genetics. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some genetic freaks out there, you know, that are good,
Yeah.
you know, because they're genetically gifted. But powerlifting and strongman, you know, stuff like that. It's
You
just
definitely have to apply yourself.
you
regardless.
have to apply yourself regardless.
Yeah.
Because I know some guys that are, I'm like, you're genetically a freak,
Yeah.
and they should be way better off than what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some out there that are just too caught up in other things, and they're just not applying themselves. Like there's some guys that I see like all the time to this day that I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like I wish I would like had your body frame right now. Like give me your body and give me your genetics so I can put my brain to that fucking body and fucking do work, because you're over there just fucking wasting your shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, fucking give me that shit. And you can have mine, I'll have yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just sucks to see it go to waste.
Yeah.
And there is, like I said, there's just tons of talent. There's just tons of talent that goes to waste out there.
Oh, you see it all the time. In literally every region. It's like people are just wasting what they have because they're used to it. You know, it's normal for them.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing is like, you know, a lot of things I get is like, what's next for you? What are you gonna do? I still plan to compete powerlifting. You know, I love it. I powerlift pretty much every day. But as I get older, I don't know what's gonna turn to me. You know, more.
Right.
You know, I like trying out new things. That's just kind of being an athlete. I like challenging myself. Yeah, an athlete. So you guys, we're sitting here talking about the athlete thing. Let's just get this out of the way real quick. So we're sitting here talking about the athlete thing because Charity was in here talking to me how she got a comment about how strongman, strongwoman is not
weightlifters. And
weightlifters.
So powerlifters, weightlifters, and strength athletes in general are not athletes.
Yeah.
And I was like reading this and I'm like, really? Because if you look at the definition of each of those things that you just listed, like weightlifter, powerlifter, strongman, strongwoman, and then compare it to the definition of what an athlete is.
It's like,
I'm like, I mean, performance-based training.
Right. Well, and then you said that, and I was like,
know.
well, let me rebuttal that one for you, because I posted something about being a performance athlete, and then some guy said powerlifters are not performance athletes.
I'm like, then what do you think we're doing on a platform? Are we not? Are you not entertained? Are we not performing?
Right. Not just that. Like when I think of like performance, I think of my Hellcat. That's a performance vehicle out there. Raw, crazy,
literally
power.
Designed and executed with precision to accomplish a certain goal.
Performance. I mean, and so I sit there and I'm like, okay, literally everything you just said is powerlifting, strongman, weightlifting. You know what I mean? And
it's a goal-oriented training.
Right. And like, you know, and I'm just sitting here like, okay, I'm just raw strength power, like my car. You guys call that my Hellcat a performance vehicle, you know, or fucking whatever you want to call it, you know? And I'm thinking it's the same thing. I'm a performance vehicle, man. I'm going to move raw, you know, weight with power, you know, stuff like that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Not performance.
I was gonna say, but there's technique and precision, and like, I mean, there's a science behind it.
Blew
so
my
I'm just
mind.
like,
it blows my mind.
But you know, it's the ignorant, you know, the ignorant,
uneducated, ignorant.
I say these are guys that literally watch YouTube all day and scroll on Reddit, and they don't actually apply themselves in life. So it's like those are the guys that make those comments, anyways.
Yeah. I think I had one like a couple days ago, just giving me shit about that. I mean, your common stuff is like, I love all your stuff.
Mine's daily entertainment.
Yours is like my morning newspaper.
My close friends list is lit.
Yeah. So if you're not on Charity's close friends things, that sucks for you guys.
You're missing out.
Because her close friend Instagram stories are. They're unfucking real, and I've even
unfiltered.
I've even messaged Cherry, and I said, and she'll post something, and I just see the shit going, and I'll message her and be like, I cannot wait till tomorrow morning. She's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, to see the close friends story, because I know it's gonna be epic as fuck. And next morning, sure enough, it's fire. You know, it's just some of the stuff you have to deal with is unreal.
You know, for a while, because I was doing that bodybuilding prep, and then I came off because, you know, I was in the hospital for heart problems, and I didn't post about it, but I was in the ER because I was having a heart attack. So, stepped away from it, started actually rehabilitating myself, and, you know, obviously I put on weight again coming out of that, and I wasn't able to really lift either. So, I was feeling a little bit softer again, but I knew it was temporary. And I knew that it was literally only going to be a couple of months. But during those couple of months, like the bullying that I received on social media was outrageous.
It's fucking sad how that it's fucking crazy.
Outrageous. And I'm like, I was just in the hospital and you guys are telling me like I'm a fat piece of shit, you know? And I'm just like, I'm not. Like, I'm a specimen. Like,
Yeah,
I'm an
yeah.
athlete, you know? And I was just like, do you know who I
Yeah,
am? You know, but
right.
it was like, you know, and previously, like, that would have torn me apart. But it was like, I think because I know who I am, and it was
Right.
like, I knew that it was just a process, that I was just like,
Yep.
so I turned off the commentating on my stories that people couldn't respond to things anymore, because I was just like, well, this is temporary, so I'm just going to turn this off.
Right. It's
So
pointless.
for a while, my close friends list wasn't that exciting, just because I wasn't allowing anybody to like really talk back to me.
Yeah.
And then I turned it back on again, and it's been real lit again. So
It's amazing.
we're back
It's
in
like,
business.
I'm telling you, it's my morning newspaper. If you like, it gets me in a good mood every morning because I just fucking laugh because, wow,
Oh yeah, people are outstanding.
they are. They don't.
In the best
no
and
filter.
worst days. Yeah.
No filter.
Yeah.
Some are like persistent.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't like such a stud, I'd be like semi worried for you. But I feel like you could knock out
You
half
know,
those fuckers.
Nick
but
and I actually had this conversation last night when we were in the lobby, and he was asking me about like how I deal with Atlanta, you know, and like the persistence of some males. And
Yeah.
I was just like, well, I'm me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like I wouldn't put another female in my shoes, like by any means,
Right.
even another athlete. I think just because of my upbringing and how, I guess, I've embraced my masculine side, and like I've been in a few scuffles, so it's just like
so you're basically saying you'll fucking rip their face off if they fuck with you. Got you.
a little bit, yes.
So you guys, if you're in
it's
Atlanta
like,
and you see
I
Charity,
can handle myself, you know.
yeah.
So it's like I don't have that fear,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's like I can understand. But I was like even saying that even with me being me and not having that fear of like, oh, I'm a helpless female, I don't have
Right.
that fear.
Right.
It's still, it puts you on your defensive mode, and
Yeah.
you don't realize how stressed you are until you get away from that for a little
Yeah.
bit. And then it's like, and I, you know, been traveling so much, and then so I've been away from it, and then going back to it, it was like alert was back on again. And I was like, oh, I forgot I've been living in this type of high stress for years.
Yeah.
And I've just gotten used to
Used to it. Yeah.
And it was just like, how is this affecting every other part of my life? You know,
Right.
and it really started making me think about things. And it's like, you know what? Like, maybe I need to retire from a high stress environment like
Yeah.
this. You know, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should put yourself through that.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
and it's the same thing with the social media. It's like, you know, yeah, these guys are persistent, and they just kind of keep coming at you. And I think men are so brave, even women behind a screen. And it's like, really? Because I'm pretty sure if we were on the street, you would not be
No,
saying
and
that
that's the
to
thing,
me.
and that's what's sad about it is like sometimes I like look at some of the stuff that I read some of your stuff, other girls post stuff, you know, and everything, and I'm just like, I would just like to see half these dudes literally speak those same words out of their mouth to that girl face to face, and it wouldn't happen. It's just because they get to be brave behind a screen and stuff like that. But not just that, it's just like there's no way some of that stuff fucking works, man. Like at all, it can't.
I'm like, well, you know, I say that because I'm like, I like, even, you know, if I'm like in a relationship or whatever, guys actually are worried about me responding to dudes hitting on me in my DMs, and I'm like, I never respond to anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
who would respond to this?
Yeah,
There are females that do.
yeah,
There are females that do. And I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, you responded to him? She's like, oh, well, he just paid me comments, so I said thank you. And I'm like,
just opened up the door.
yeah. First of all, you're not only giving him access to you because you pushed accept,
Yeah,
he now values his opinion in your life.
yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, I want him to know it's irrelevant
Right.
to my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's the same thing if you're in the gym and a guy comes up to you and like forces you to take your headphones out or whatever. I think I posted this on my story before, and it was like sharing another girl's experience and him being like, oh, I just want to tell you look so good. Like he's doing her a favor.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, I know. And then him being annoyed that she responded that way. And I'm like,
Right.
no, I was just in this situation at LA Fitness a couple weeks ago. And five people interrupted my workout, and
Yeah.
3 of them were persistent, and then later found me on social media.
That's wild.
And I'm like, and I was not filtered.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's
Yeah.
never going to happen. I'm not interested.
yeah.
You know, and then being like so persistent, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Who built up your ego so much that you think you can approach someone like me
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm going to be flattered?
Right.
I'm not here for you.
Right.
And I think that's it's the misconception of like social media has like literally perpetuated this idea that we're just waiting for their approval.
Right.
We're doing this for approval and validation, and it's like, no.
Right.
Not at all. Maybe there are some.
I'm sure there are.
I'm sure they are because I've realized that most women just accept that, and I'm like, it just blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Social media has definitely opened up a whole window of weird things nowadays. I mean, weird things.
Yeah,
it's like I love social media. Don't get me wrong. I think it's got a lot of good things, business opportunities.
I
mean, it's opened up networking.
Oh yeah.
But it also has opened up the window for a lot of like bullshit to kind of like come through and cause a lot of issues with a lot of things, and just everything. It's definitely opened up the world to each other and to see like what's really.
It's a portal,
there.
right?
Yeah,
it's like literally you open up an app and you get to walk through.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, speaking of business opportunities, are we allowed to talk about it? Your little company you're working with now?
First Form.
So it's so funny, and I'm gonna have to say I'm a little mad at you.
I know.
A little mad at you because I saw that you and Mutant had parted ways, and I was like talking to you, and I was like, oh, I mean, I do own a supplement company, but I know that you, and I was like, I was like, hey, it's just a matter of time till you're just with someone. You're like, oh, it's already kind of in the works. You didn't fucking tell me, Charity. You didn't tell me. I could have been like, yeah, Casey, it's in the works with like possibly like First Form, and I've been like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
I had to wait just like everybody else to see it, but that's cool, man. First Form, I think, is a perfect representation of like you.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, that makes fucking sense.
Well, I was in kind of an in-between talk with like a few different companies, and it was just like who kind of not only presented me what I believed I deserved,
right,
but also fit my brand.
Absolutely.
And it's like not that I'm not gonna even speak badly about Mutant because Mutant's opened up a lot of like friendships and connections for me, and that are gonna be lifelong friendships.
Yeah, I know a bunch of Mutant guys, and they're all great.
They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
So I think the thing was like, okay, this is where my brand is going. I'm not trying to be a competitive athlete anymore. I'm trying to be, for me, more than that. I'm trying to like broaden that horizon. So I needed a company that would fit general health.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's not many companies that do, right? They want the freak athletes. They want, like the mutants, the savages. They want all this stuff, and they perpetuate that. I'm like, well, I'm not big on protein powder.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't really fit my. I want somebody that's going to give me vitamins. I want somebody that's going to give me greens, something good for travel that makes my life easier.
Right.
Because let's talk about the daily person that like follows me on social media, especially being on TV. Like my average follower is not a mutant athlete. Right. So it's just like, I need something that represents where I'm going in my business and my career. And when I got in contact with First Form, and we were going back and forth, and we FaceTimed, it just clicked.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? Like, this is just such a good fit that I see myself growing with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I needed to see.
Right. I mean, they got a vast variety of like athletes. Or influencers.
Oh yeah, they don't.
Just
they
like
do
they're like lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know a bunch of them. I know Andy, and that's what their brand is about. It's more like lifestyle, and he promotes that. He talks about that. Like I'm friends with Marissa Loren. She works out but she's not like a fucking gym goer hardcore. But she'll go to the gym. She does kickboxing. She's a competitive shooter. She's a tattoo artist. I mean, world traveler. I mean, she just does all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Then you got Derek Whita, who's a ex-military, CrossFitter, powerlifter. Now he's a fucking like artist. I mean, that's just the way it is over there, And I think it's really cool, like what they have.
Yeah.
Because it isn't not. Their whole thing is to exactly what you said is to spread out other than just like the freak athletes, because they do have a couple athletes that are freak athletes. They do. They do have them, but they're just spread out through like everything, lifestyle.
I think
I think it's a great thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a great thing for sure. And then when you get all those people together, man, that's a crazy little group of people that you have there that can just really, make that company what it is. You know what I mean? So no, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's fucking. To me,
it made sense.
It made sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense outside looking in.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
that's good.
I feel like that you fit in more there than Mutant, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, and that's why, like, when I did part ways, they were very gracious, because once they found out that I was working with Andy, they were like, to them, even though they're like, that makes sense.
Makes sense. It really does.
And just knowing me as a person and everything else. And it was like, okay. And like, and I mean, I talked to several people that were in my corner before I even made the decision. It was like, and everybody had the same, outlook. Like this is you.
Well, I haven't ever heard of anything bad coming out of first. I don't think I've ever met an athlete that was like, dude, they're fucking terrible over there.
Right. Yeah. No.
Which is a plus. When you got that, like there's obviously you're getting taken care of over there.
Right.
But yeah, not just that. I honestly think that it's smart of First Form to like bring you on as well. I think you kind of like fit something that's been missing for them. Mm-hmm. They don't really have a Strongwoman over there.
No.
They don't have like a real hardcore TV athlete star like you. So I think you fit perfectly. That's exciting. Super stoked for you. When I saw that, I was like, fuck, that's cool. Because like, and you could tell the departure with Mutant was pretty chill. Because you just kind of slowly, and then when people started asking you about it, you were very cool about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's just, we go through that. I mean, I've been there with companies before myself when I was kind of going through it, where you just kind of, you want to do something else, And that was like, okay, for example, like when I first started in this industry, most everybody that follows me knows that I started out with Rich Piana at 5%, which was he grabbed,
with Mutant.
yeah. And he just grabbed all the kinds of different types of people from all different walks of life that he felt like would benefit his company and that they would benefit off him. And so that's how I started out. But I wasn't like just one of the hangouts. Like I was like in his shit. Like I was doing shit, and he helped grow me and mold me and like teach me things and whatever, But it did get to a point where I was like, okay, I don't like everybody knows 5%. That's just Rich. And I didn't want to be, as I got into the, I liked
your identity.
I wanted my identity.
Yeah.
And I knew because I wanted more. A lot of those people they're happy there. They're cool with being there and just being with Rich. And I just wanted more than that. And Rich always told me like that I was going to be more than that, And so it got to a point where I was there for a little while, about a year and some change, maybe two. No, about a year and some change. And I just went up to him. I was at his house and I was talking to him and I just told him that I just felt like I was ready to kind of move on my own. And he wanted me to stick around for a little bit longer to help grow me a little bit more. But he was just like, if you're ready, you do it. But this is like, he's like, if you ever need anything, guidance or whatever, let me know. And then I left him, and then I eventually went to Primeval Labs. They were like a startup company. And so got with them and grew with them. I was with them for like over 3 years.
Okay.
And then that's just a supplement company. Like I still get my identity as I grow with their supplement company. It's not like the face of somebody. And that's kind of like where I'm at with my company. Like I don't want to be the face of Rising Labs. I want Rising Labs to be a supplement company.
Right.
With people to come and
many
have
faces, yeah.
Right. At first I did want it to be mine. But I just got to a point where I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want that.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, for example, like, when Rich Piana passed away, 5% kind of passed away with it.
I was gonna say because when you become the face of a company, that company is dependent on you, not and it's got that glass ceiling too. So you think, oh, it'll grow, it'll just grow, and it's like, well, no, because there's a cap limit.
Right.
Because it's only going to go so far because it's dependent on one factor.
Exactly.
And it's like when you've got something that's not dependent on any factors and it's just a great company, then the limits aren't there.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, let's say Jay Cutler decides to stop or he passes away when he gets older, Well, Jay Cutler Nutrition goes away. Can't have Jay Cutler Nutrition without Jay Cutler.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's Ronnie Coleman, that's just the way it is. So, and it's the same thing. Like when Rich passed, they try to bring in Martin Ford to like take his spot, and that just ain't gonna happen because that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So so it's 5% still there. They're trying to stay alive, but it's just, we all know what happened with that company when Rich went. But so like so yeah, I just think it's great that you're over there and you still got you doing your thing. It's a great company and Andy's a great dude. I think you're gonna grow massively over there with those people as well.
I'm excited to just get over to headquarters and shoot and film with them and get some content rolling and then
talk about that mansion of a factory that Andy's building up.
I know.
Unreal.
Literally any kind of equipment that I'll ever need is gonna be there. So I'm stoked.
It's gonna be crazy.
I'm stoked to go.
Yeah, he's building something very special. I mean, that guy is a smart fucker right there, man. That guy is unreal. I've known him for like 4 years now. Yeah, and he's just a gritty ass savage, pretty much. Kind of says what he wants. There's a lot of things that sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that, but
it's like where it's coming from, so it's just like you respect it.
Yeah. I mean, and he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that because I don't really give a fuck about a lot of things. Like I just kind of say and do what I want, and I am who I am, and he's really like that right now, even more so because I like podcasts. I like to listen to people talk, especially successful people. And his new podcast that he's talking about, his Real as Fuck one. I listened to the first 2 episodes and he talks about that. Like he's just kind of done. He's really coming out of a shell even more now. Like he's done kind of like watering it down, even though it's like that was watered down. He's really fucking letting loose now to where he's just like, I don't fucking care at all anymore.
Yeah,
I'm done.
like,
I'm done. Yeah. I'm done like putting baby powder on your guys' ass all the time now. Now I'm gonna fucking talk, and if you guys want to listen to it, fucking listen to it.
Right.
And there was like a lot of things that I was just laughing about. He about like Trump things and Obama this and this and that. And I was like, oh shit, I've never heard you go off about like nothing like this. But like the way he says it, it's fucking right. To me, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad to like see that because I think now we're really getting to like hear what's like really what's on his fucking mind. And I think that's what the podcast is about. But I like it because I think that you have to have somebody like that. There's a point in my life like that's where like I want to be at, but I think you have to have experience and knowledge.
I would say, you gotta have like that credibility behind it too.
To go off like that and to say the things that because. And he got it, and he has that. He's
right.
been doing.
Like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee.
Right.
Those are like prime examples of like saying whatever they
right.
want. But
they
built. I was gonna say they built up such this credibility behind it that it's like it doesn't matter if you disagree with them or not.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
they're still gonna say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I'm freaking stoked for you, man.
Pumped. I'm excited. I think it'll be good, and like I'm only really starting.
Yeah.
Forming my own brand. So it's like been within the last couple of years, and just to see even how much I've grown in the last couple of years. Yeah. Like I'm just like
you have like programs now, and you have the what is it the Witt Challenge or what is it called?
I just finished the Witt Fitness Challenge, and we had a winner. So
That's awesome. How was that? Fun?
It was new for me because I'd never really done a challenge like that before. But to see the hard work that people put in, it was inspiring to
cool
me.
Shit. Yeah.
And then I'm remodeling my website right now. We're gonna have program templates back on there. I'm gonna be doing apparel. Oh yeah. 2020 is gonna be huge.
That's cool. Yeah. Do you have a name for the apparel? Can we not say it yet?
Nah, not yet.
It's not trademarked yet. I know that live.
Not yet. No, but I did patent no quitting Witt because apparently no one else has that.
No, I would too for sure. Because if not, once you launch your company, you will be surprised at how many companies will come, like side companies will come and try to use what it is that's yours to promote where people think it's yours, but it's not, to sell your shit. So it's good that you did that because you'll learn a lot of that business because I've had a lot of shit that I've had to do, but. That's cool. So anything else new? You gonna compete anytime soon? Do anything?
I think I'm done with competing in the foreseeable future. Right now, I'm just working on growing my business, my content. I've got these yearly retreats that I'm doing now across the world.
Yeah, I saw that. That's great.
So we're going to Bali. This is our first one in July, and then next year I'm hoping to, either I really, really, really want to go to Argentina, Patagonia.
Okay.
Just because that fits me as a person, like my lifestyle.
Right.
And I think, I really want people to get out in nature.
Right.
Because my goal is to break away from the competitive athlete box and be like, oh, well, she's just a strength athlete. And I want to do the whole collective, mind, body, spirit. And I want to be like, I want to talk about how to grow your business, grow your life, and grow yourself physically and in the health aspect. So I want to include all of that in each retreat so that they're getting the full experience.
I think that's great because like honestly right now even with men it's crazy that I think like the whole like mind body soul thing right now is such a big fucking thing right now for people, like even like I mean, I got some guys that are ex-gangsters that follow me that they're just like, they're like that. They're like mind, body, soul type shit.
Yeah.
And it's not like,
it
doesn't make you like less, it doesn't make you like less masculine by any fucking means. Yeah. But what it does is it's like, I see that as like a thing right now where even me, I'm very like pretty open about like everything. Like catch me on the street and fucking mess with me and I'll bust your ass in, but I'm still like a really mellow, mind, body, soul guy.
Yeah, what goes around comes around.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's great that you're doing that because I think that's something that's thriving right now. So
I think it's because it's tangible, right? Like you can actually, it's applicable to everybody's life, and it's not restricted for one person to the next person, right? And I just remember recently I took Dusty Henshaw to a crystal shop and we got him crystals and sage and cleansed his place. And here's, this huge gruff guy, but it's like.
See, that's YouTube content right there.
Right?
You got to make that. I got to see that big motherfucker walking around.
Oh my gosh, but it was a blast and he was so open and receptive to it.
You gotta be. You gotta be.
And, but honestly, people have got all kinds of names for me now about it. And I'm being called a witch several times now, but it's I don't even care.
Yeah.
Because it's just well, it works.
It works.
I started applying this to my life 3 years ago. And I've literally, everything I've written down that I wanted to accomplish, I accomplished.
Right.
And it's just there's something to this of, raising your energy and raising your vibrations to meet where you want to be. And when you raise your frequency to that level, everything around you changes because you're subconsciously walking in those footsteps,
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of attraction.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in creating your own momentum. Honestly.
You cannot be successful and not believe that you are creating your own destiny.
Absolutely. I am serious about that. Especially running my company and stuff like that. There's ups and downs, and the downs is when it's when I'm okay, I got to recreate this momentum again. How do I fucking do that? You know what I mean? And you got to sit down, you got to get in that mindset, and you got to
you got to go internal.
You gotta go internal.
Absolutely.
You got to sit there and just got to let it almost get emotional.
Yeah. Yeah,
Feel me?
Because you have to want it that badly.
Fuck yeah. And I can tell you a prime example is I was just earlier, I'm not going to say shit on here, but look, we were talking about off the air when I was dealing with my stuff just recently. And when I think that everything, there could be a possibility of everything crumbling. And I remember, and I keep it in my head now, because I remember sitting at my desk and in my warehouse, my office is here, and then I have this big, massive window that looks out into the warehouse. And, I have Rising Labs, across this wall that I had my buddy who's an artist come in and do. And I'm sitting there getting off these phone calls and just dealing with so much shit. And I'm I'm going to fucking fail at this shit. Fuck, God damn it.
And then it's then you stop yourself because it's no.
Yeah, no, I sat back and I just was sitting there, I just turned my head and I just kind of out of my peripheral saw my company's name. Something that I've wanted for 5 years. I told myself when I first got in fitness industry, my goal was to own a supplement company. That was my fucking goal, from ambassador to athlete to doing whatever to eventually just owning a fucking successful supplement company. And I sat back and I just saw it and I just sit there and looked at it and I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Let's fucking work. And I sat there for 2 days almost at that warehouse and just grinding on shit and trying to figure shit out, and got myself out of that little situation or figure the situation out that could be beneficial. And that, and it worked out, you know what I mean? But it's you got to kind of, and it was almost an emotional spot for me because I was just sitting there fuck, dude.
But it has to be, it has to be emotional. And I think that's the key though, is you have to be invested. Yeah. And this year has been a huge investment for me.
You've been working really hard this last year. You can see it.
I would say last year, it was more of realizing my potential and coming out of my shell. And then this year it was grinding and investing. Okay, I realized who I was. Now I got to prove to myself that I know who I am.
Absolutely.
And it's it's really just proving myself and learning to trust myself. And one of the biggest things that I remember is that somebody told me there was you're going to fail, you're going to live paycheck to paycheck, you're going to starve, you're going to blow that. And I remember something snapped in me. And it was I don't care if I have to live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
But it's better than where I've been.
Yeah.
And and it's and it's my quote. It's on Titan Games. It's I've been to hell once. I can go back and climb out again. And I just live by that because it's every time I get into that dark spot, I'm just I've been in such worse positions before that it's and this goes for even relationships, right? No one can hurt me more than I've already been hurt before in my life.
Absolutely.
And I'm confident in saying that just because of the shit I've been through.
Yep.
And it's to be so young, I'm not even 30, and to be able to say I've been through the worst of the worst.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? You've been through some shit.
Yeah, I've lived a long life for my young age, and it's what else you got for me, life? It's that fear is gone. I don't make decisions based on fear anymore. And it's when you think like that, you raise your frequency, right? And it's you become limitless. And I think that's what I want to be. I just want to be limitless. I don't want to set expectations or, that glass ceiling on myself. I want to just, think okay, well, I don't even say, I won't even put a cap on how much money I want to make next year because I don't want to limit myself.
Absolutely.
I want to be limitless. So it's like, I'm just going to be abundant. Everything's going to flow towards me. Doors are going to always be open. And I just keep that mindset just drilled into myself.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, they don't do like that. They don't like sit down, write it on paper, their goals or anything like that.
And then look at it daily.
And look at it. And like, cause I mean, I've had many times where it's like, my own family kind of laughs at me because like I'll sit there and just say like I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that or I'm gonna do this or I want to try to make this happen.
And they laugh at you almost in disbelief, like, did you really just say
right.
that?
And then when it happens, they're just like, fuck, So like I've had many counts. Like one time, the very first time when I was brand new into the industry, I remember me and my buddy Ace, he's a camera guy, and me and him, this is a story like one day that I would love to talk about with him, like on my own personal stuff, but. I was kind of new, and me and him flew ourselves to the Arnold because we were told if we could fly ourselves to the Arnold in Ohio, we could be at the booth. So me and him, I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was just out of the military pretty much, kind of just getting in. I was living off like retirement, Social Security. Like I couldn't work, and stuff like that. I was kind of new in the industry, fitness industry, like really new. And so we kind of went there. We split a hotel. He was just a like really thriving, starving videographer. He didn't really do a lot of other work except that. So... But we saved up and we flew. And when we were there, we're in there, we get to be a part of everything. And we're walking by the animal cage. And as we're walking by there, I was like, fuck. I was like, one day I'm going to be in that bitch. That's where they like, you got to get.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get asked
the
to come
energy,
there.
The energy, I was say, yeah.
Very elite to get asked to come into there. Not everybody will ever get to step inside the animal cage. And, so I remember just telling him that. And we just kind of laughed about it and was like, I'd be fucking crazy. Well, later on throughout that weekend, I had noticed that he hadn't really been like eating a lot. And I was like, Ace, I was like, why aren't you eating? You're like not feeling good or what? He's like, no, I'm good, man. No, I haven't been eating here and there. And I was like, what I was like, no, you haven't, bro. Like, why aren't you eating? And then he ended up telling me, he's like, dude, I came here with $13.50 or something like that in my pocket. I was like, Ace, why the fuck? I was like, I don't have like a lot of money, but let's fucking eat some shit. I'll buy you some shit. So what about a year or two later, I can't even remember precisely, but I remember we eventually went back to the Arnold. And that year that we went back to the Arnold, I was competing in the animal cage. And me and Ace goes, remember that time you walked by here and said that you were going to be in the animal cage? I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, remember that time you had like a few dollars in your pocket, or $13.50 in your pocket? He's like, yeah, you can add a couple zeros onto that now. You know what I mean? Because he was now a very successful videographer. And I was inside. I mean, he was now working for a company that I was sponsored by, Primeval. He worked for them as their lead videographer now. I was inside there as myself and with Primeval, lifting in this cage. And, and it was like a really cool moment for us because it was just, because we said it like in our heads.
You put it into motion.
Right. And that was the goal. And, and then like eventually, it was like one time me and Ace, I have a lot of memories because he was like my guy for years. We were in the airport. And it was jokingly. It fucking was jokingly, but it was like.
But the universe is a bitch, though. When you even joke about things, it's like, oh, remember when?
Yeah, it was the Muscle and Strength magazine and Flex magazine. All them were up there. And I was like, dude, fuck. One day I'm gonna be up in that bitch right there. Like goofing off. He has it on camera actually. And no joke, that same year I was in both those fucking magazines. Phil Heath was on the cover of one, and The Rock was on the cover of the other one. And I had like a centerfold piece on me done inside both those magazines. And it was just like fucking wild because I was like, I was kidding. We didn't reach out to nobody. We didn't do anything. We just kept doing our shit.
But you said it, yeah.
And then like last year, me and him were talking about this whole story. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, dude. I said, but the real fucking goal is to get in Men's Health. No joke. 6 months later, Men's Health's calling me to be in Men's Health. And I had this big thing in Men's Health magazine. It's crazy, and it's just like, and I feel like people need to do that more often is like, set these fucking like goals and dreams and like talk about it, openly talk about it. Cause it's going to like be in your head. And then when it happens, you're like, fuck, I said that shit. And I fucking did that shit. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people they just don't do that. And that sucks. And it kind of makes me sad for them because I feel like it's just that they don't believe in themselves. Fucking joke about it. That's just you joking about it means you somewhat are thinking about it. You know what I mean? Because fuck yeah, who doesn't want to be in the one inside one of those? I mean, yeah, I was joking about it, but internally I was like, that'd be fucking really cool.
But see, that's also a key point, though, is like joking, depreciating yourself too. Like people like blow themselves down all the time, and they degrade themselves jokingly. And I'm like, don't fucking say that shit,
Yeah.
And my sister used to do this all the time, and I'm like, you better stop. speaking that stuff over yourself because it's going to happen.
Right.
And it's like, I will not depreciate myself.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, and I was actually at my parents' house the other night, dropping my dog off again. And I don't know what we were talking about, but we were talking about this guy who thinks he's like way better than he actually is. We've called out this person, you know, just because of like his career and whatnot. We know who I'm talking about. They don't need to know who I'm talking about, you know? And he was persistent and kept messaging me. And I was like, bro, I'm going to blow you out of the water one of these days. And said, we're going to be in the same room. And I don't even need to introduce myself when I walk into that room. And I said this, and my dad was like, the confidence that you just said that with. And I'm like, it's going to happen now. Because I literally I was like, no, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in the same room one day. And I don't even have to introduce myself when I walk in, but you will.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's where we're going to be at in a few years. And it's like, you know, and I was just like, you know, because I've said that, it's going to happen.
Right.
And, you know, and it's like, but believing that, like, whatever you say, regardless if you're joking or if it's in the moment, like, you have to be so intentional and so aware of everything that you say.
Yeah. It's just, you know, I have this like hashtag that I'm calling the change because that's the change of like
be the change.
Be the change, man. And that starts with yourself, and then everything else will change right behind you, you know? And so that's just something I've been kind of, don't fucking use that anybody until I tell you. No, I was kidding. Nobody better steal that shit. But it's just like,
we will find you.
We will find you. No, it's just something that I was talking about it the other day, and I just said, and I, you know, I've been getting into this whole thing where I want to start my own podcast because I feel like I've been through a lot, and I just feel like there's a lot that I can give to like talk to people, and that's the whole thing is like I feel like, you know, you got to be the change for yourself before anything. You know, so like, the podcast that I'm wanting to do is going to be either called like The Change or Be the Change. And it's just something that it will just be more like real talk, motivation, a bunch of different shit that I want to do personally, because I feel like there's just a lot of stuff that people need to hear that I've been through and I can help them out with, you know. But yeah, so just be the change, man. You have to for yourself.
That's such a good point, though, because it starts with yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, you know, people with trust issues, I'm like, well, you probably don't even trust yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's like, yeah, like I've been double crossed a million times, you know, and it's like whatever, but it's like it's got to start with you, and the same with the change, you know, it's like you've got to do things and prove yourself that you are reliable. You can depend on yourself.
Absolutely.
You can trust yourself. When you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Absolutely.
And when you build that confidence and that trust in yourself, people start gravitating towards you, you know, and you start actually drawing and attracting that same vibration, that same energy in other people towards you as well.
Right. I mean, it's just, and the thing is like, I feel like there's enough like strong dudes, funny dudes, fucking clout chasers, you know, on social media, that there's not a lot of like guys, like gritty ass men like me. Like I consider myself like a very rugged looking fucking man, you know, and I am a very like manly dude.
I thought you were very manicured.
Yeah, you know, I just sit over here and bite my nose or some shit. But, you know, it's just like, you know, I just feel like there's not a lot of that. And not just that, I feel like a lot of men have this like ego thing where they just, because they gotta be
fragile
like,
ego.
Gotta be fucking like the baddest, hardest motherfucker ever. And it's just like, listen, I've ran into some of the biggest, hardest sons of bitches I ever thought I'd meet and watch them just fold up on a bunch of shit. You know, some of the baddest motherfuckers I've ever met are actually the most humblest dudes I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, look at Nick. Nick's in there. You see that guy? That's a fucking ogre. And you would never walk up on him and talk shit to him because he'd crush your whole body. But he's the nicest guy in the world. But then you have like
nicest human on planet Earth.
And then you have like Brian Shaw, who's like this doesn't make sense how he's like a person because he's so fucking big. Towards the same thing, he could be a fucking cock. He could be an asshole. And what are you gonna do to him? Nothing. But he's the nicest guy.
We know the ones that are.
Yeah, we
right?
do. Yeah, we do.
We do.
We do. And they're not. But they're not gonna last. You know. And they're not respected like you guys respect Nick and Brian. And these are just examples. You know. So you know. It took me a while because I was that guy. I was kind of like, oh well, I don't give a fuck. Like I'll be a dick. And that's just But it's not. That's stupid. You're stupid.
I'm not selective who I'm a dick to.
Yeah. I mean, same. Like there's some people in this industry that know I don't fucking like them, you know, but that's just the way it is. But as far as like what I want to like put out there, it's just like, just because I look a certain way or I have like this persona doesn't mean that like, that's like, I mean, I created this person, you know what I mean? Just like you created you and who you are, what you look like and how you uphold yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that doesn't make you by talking about it or trying to guide people to become like stronger
Right.
physically, mentally, and like with the soul and the will makes you a pussy.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to kind of like get down with that. Like
Yeah.
that because I talk about it. Oh, I'm just like, oh, he's a fucking pussy. Well, come fucking catch me and see what's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's not the case by any fucking means.
Yeah.
But I do want to be like that dude that like steps up to the plate and like can help a lot of fucking people.
Yeah, no, because I think, I think
and there's not enough of that.
I was gonna say there's a void in that area, right?
Especially with men. Like I feel like girls are like girl power. Let's fucking do it. Woo,
yeah,
like and they're
but
uplifting.
That's also taken to the extreme where it's like I'm a huge proponent of like being independent.
Right.
Like
yeah.
Be your own boss.
Be your own boss. Yeah, absolutely.
But at
the
same time, I think that it's important to understand that it's just as cool to be vulnerable and feminine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like vulnerability is strength. To be able to be raw and open and emotional, it takes so much strength.
Oh, yeah.
And I think women are so afraid of being that. They're afraid of being women. They're afraid of being feminine and vulnerable because this feminism has like perpetuated this masculine persona where it's like, I don't need a man to take care of me. Please. Like, please open that door for me.
That is a huge thing right now. I'm like, I call them man eaters.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, fuck man, I don't fucking need him. I'm like, damn, like he hurt you that bad? Like come on, like we know that's what that's what it is.
And that's my issue right now. It's like, and that's why like I'm trying to create this balance for females right now because it's like, oh no, I am my own boss.
Yeah,
I am a badass. But absolutely would love a gentleman to come and open the door for me. You know what I mean? So it's like it's understanding that it's like it's okay to have roles and you don't lose any value by having them. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot. I see that a lot lately.
Yeah,
and it's like, but here's the thing: is the people that I see it with, I literally just watch them in a relationship, and whatever happened, he cheated on you, he beat you, whatever the fuck happened, they become that. And it's like, oh, you're like that because Francisco over here fucking crumbled your fucking heart and you're upset. So fuck men, and it's just like, really.
Like don't be bitter, be better. Yeah, and then that's and it's like the best revenge is living well, right? And it's like, no matter what you did to me, no matter what, you hurt me with or whatever else, like it's not going to affect me because I'm stronger than that. And it's like, and it's having that grace.
Well, not just that, like make that motherfucker regret it. Like, fuck. Like,
I'm a huge proponent for not blocking people because I want them to see my shit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hell yeah. Everybody's like, oh, did you block your ex-wife? I'm like, fuck no. I want her to see me fucking killing the game. You know what I mean?
Yes. Like,
me and my ex-wife are cool. Yeah. Me and my ex-wife are cool now. But, at the same time, FYI, we're cool. But at the same time, I still like, she can see this, do it, and not just that, like, I pretty much take care of them, her and my daughter here and there anyway. But, it's just like, I don't feel like you have to fucking be like that.
No. And I'm literally, I just had this conversation because they were like, why don't you just block him? And I was just like, because I want him to see how well I'm doing.
Yeah,
I want him to see that.
So give these women some quick pointers before we got to get out of here.
Women, it is okay to let a man be a man. And I say this in like, I literally just had this conversation with somebody and it was just like, I am an independent woman. I'm my own boss. Like I am a proponent for being a badass, right? But at the same time, like because I do have to be hard a lot of the time. I do have to be on the defensive a lot of time, especially living in Atlanta. It's nice when someone else can take that burden from me, where I can share it and I can feel safe and I don't have to be so rough and hard around somebody else. And it's like, and I want women to understand that it's like, it doesn't make you weak. That literally like there's such a strength in being vulnerable and open and and having grace. It's like don't be bitter, just be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll end this with a little thing for you men. Let your lady be a boss bitch sometimes. I like having like a boss ass lady, dude. Like one, it's gonna raise your confidence level. She's gonna be that girl that's like, get it, babe. Let's fucking go.
Your biggest fan.
Yeah, and she's gonna fucking like, that's like, your biggest fan. She's gonna uplift you when you're down. She's like, let your lady be a boss bitch too. It's okay to have like a boss ass lady. I personally like a very dominant style woman. That confident. Confident woman. That's just like, you know, when you're down, hey, let's fucking go. Let's fucking do this.
Let's go.
You know, and I really like that. So, you know, there's some men out there that they do want those girls that are that they can just have control about and just, you know, and just.
But we all know what that means.
Yeah, right. So, you know, just like, you know, for you men out there, you know, if you're looking for a woman, you know, find you a boss ass lady, and if she's not, make her into one. You know, help her.
Raise that confidence.
Help her.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that you guys will have epic relationships happen like that.
Yeah.
So. This is the One Leg Monster with Charity. Thank you so much for flying all the way into LA. Sorry I was late, but thank you for coming on the Herbstrong podcast. We'll get you out here again for sure. I'm positive, actually. So you guys, where can they follow you at?
Charity_Witt.
Go on there, guys. Leave the feet comments to a minimal. Please. And if you drop crazy ass shit, I'm going to see it. Because she posts it in her close friends thing, and I'm in her close friends thing. So this is that One Leg Monster. Thank you guys for being here, and we will catch you next time.